Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your buddy Chewie here, coming at you. It's been a couple days here. I am kind of doing my regular thing, my regular recording time on the way back from a Walmart pickup here on this afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. The weather, we are kind of in the midst of kind of summer weather here in Cleveland, or it's feeling that way. It's very muggy. It's very overcast today. We got it looks like we're gonna get some rain, very humid, kind of mid 80s, so we've kind of come right through Memorial Day weekend. And now we're kind of right smack dab in the middle of the oppressive heat and humidity that Cleveland is known for. But hey, this is not a weather show. Let's see. If you're watching these in order, the last episode that I posted was one of my favorite ones that I've done to date. It was an episode with my brother Pip. We got on and we rambled for 45 minutes or so about professional wrestling. It was essentially his version or the rebuttal to my Mount Rushmore of WWF wrestlers. That was an absolute blast to do. It's as we said on that episode, this is something that we've been kind of threatening to do for years now. I mean, a decade. We've been talking about doing a podcast or a vlog or what have you. So to kind of get that one out of the way, get that first one out of the way, was really, really fun. I know the video kind of sucked a little bit. It was a little bit jumpy. We're actually looking into converting that and these, for that matter, into a podcast format. Because let's be honest, looking at my ugly mug just talk is really not all that enthralling, and I get that. But this is just kind of the way I did it first. So yeah, that and the cool thing is, Matt and I, we've got an endless amount of topics that we want to talk about. In fact, since that first episode with the two of us was recorded, we've been kind of texting back and forth and figuring out what we're going to talk about next and when we're going to do it and those kind of things. So I think it's very safe to say that you will see Pip and Chewie back together again on the podcast / vlog here in very short order, which makes me very, very happy. So let's see. Today, and I honestly don't know if I've talked about this before. If I have, I apologize. I got a question the other day about what I'm drinking in my videos when I'm drinking. I'm driving today, so I'm not drinking. But the answer 9 times out of 10 is bourbon or whiskey or some variation. But I've been on my regular sipping drink is Jack Daniels or Gentleman Jack. I'll just drink it on ice. I'm a huge Woodford Reserve fan. I'm a huge Knob Creek fan. I'm not a huge Scotch guy, but and I say I'll drink it. I typically don't order Scotch. It's just a little bit too musty for me. That's not to say or to disparage anybody that loves it, because I know there's a ton of really, really good Scotch out there and a lot of folks that love it. I'll be honest with you, I probably have never had what most would consider really good Scotch, right? I think it would really be kind of lost on me. I am really excited. My buddy Dwayne is having a bourbon / whiskey tasting night in the next couple weeks. And I'm really pumped about that because the idea is everybody goes and brings a bottle of booze, and they share and they taste and they in all likelihood get really drunk. But and I can actually walk to his house, which is awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be in a couple weeks here, and who knows, maybe we'll record from that event. Let's see. I did have a question about, again, kind of what my favorite drink is. And again, they are, I will list 2. They are both whiskey based, or at least the way I make them. Now, before I get into this, let me say I love beer. Huge beer fan. You know, as evidenced by my gut. You know, I'll be honest with you, I'm a Miller Lite guy. I love Miller Lite. You know, I know I will get a lot of kind of pushback from that. You know, it's piss water. You know, I love Miller Lite. If I can get a nice cold draft beer, you know, a big 32 ouncer, I'm a happy guy. That's not to say that I don't love some other craft beers and some other types of beers. I love IPAs. Probably one of my favorite beers is it's called Chill Wave. It's by Great Lakes Brewing here in Cleveland. That's actually a double IPA that's typically available in the spring. Actually, now that I think about it, I didn't get any this year because, and I don't know if it wasn't available because of COVID or what have you, but I didn't have one this year, which is kind of a real bummer. So I'll have to see if I can't go find a 4-pack here. Yeah, I love Miller Lite. I'll just you know, it's just so good. It's a fine lager, as it says on the can. Let's see. But my two favorite drinks, one would be my version, or my father and I's version of the perfect Manhattan. And I say my version of it because we make it a little bit different, I think, than the kind of traditional version of a perfect Manhattan. We make ours, so basically fill a glass with ice, fill it about 3/4 of the way full of whether it's bourbon or whiskey or whatever it is we're drinking. We will typically make them with either Jack Daniels or Knob Creek when my dad and I are drinking them together. And then a splash of dry vermouth and a splash of sweet vermouth. My dad likes it with a little bit more sweet. I like it with a little less sweet. But that's the way I make mine. You know, the more traditional recipe calls for a little bit less booze, or, you know, a little bit less whiskey, and a little bit more vermouth, and a little bit more, and then some bitters and a cherry typically. That's not to say that I don't like that variety. I do. But the one, like I said, our version is more booze and just the dry and sweet vermouth. For me, I'll make mine with probably a double splash of dry, or 2-to-1 dry to sweet. And again, that's just the way I like them. It's really a personal preference. My other kind of favorite drink, and probably when I'm out, you know, with my wife, this is probably what I will drink more often than not, or order more often than not, and it is bourbon on the rocks with a couple green olives. And I know that is weird. It is. I hear all the time how weird that is. Bartenders will look at me and be like, "You want what?" But that's, especially when it's Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels is a sour mash whiskey, meaning it's a little bit sweeter than a typical bourbon. And if you put the salt, you know, the kind of salt from the 2 or 3 green olives, it really kind of cuts that sweetness of the sour mash, and it gives it a really great flavor. You know, it doesn't hurt that I love green olives. I'll eat them. You know, I'll open a jar every once in a while, and I'll just have 4 or 5 of them just cause. But that's probably my go-to. I think part of the reason that I started drinking that was because I knew I liked it, and it's real easy to make, and you really can't mess it up. There's nothing worse than when you go into a establishment and you order a drink and you've kind of really got your heart set on it, and it comes out and it's just not quite right, or it's made improperly, or they got the wrong kind of mix or what have you. But with this, it's, you know, it's booze, ice, and olives, and it makes it real easy. So that's probably my all-time favorite. So thank you for the one that asked that question. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.